What's up, everyone? Sam Shaw here, founder of Wall Street Mastermind. Excited to be back today with another client interview for you guys. Today, I'm excited to be on with Armin, who not even just, he's been done for a few months, but he finished his summer 2022 recruiting process, was very successful with it, and, wanted to get him on here to talk to you guys because, he's not like from your typical prototypical banking candidate background. I wouldn't say, at least, but we'll hear what he has to say about it. So I want to get him to come on here and share his experience with you guys, and hopefully, just shed some insight on how he was able to accomplish what he accomplished, and hopefully that helps you guys out. So, Armin, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. I know you're super busy, in fact.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks
um,
for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't mind, like, let's just start with a quick introduction. Like, just tell people, tell our listeners kind of like who you are at a high level.
Yeah, so I'm currently a junior, going to a non-target private school out in West Coast, and I was a student athlete going into college. Didn't really know, what I wanted to kind of go pursue a career, but then, started kind of understanding what I wanted to do. Double majoring in finance and computer science, and when I explored different career options, really thought that banking would be something I wanted to get into. And it was a very challenging process, and I can get into what I started learning on my own, and then what you guys and Wall Street Mastermind taught me. But that's a quick introduction about me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned like you go to a non-target school. Like, when you say non-target, like how non-target are we talking? Like, are there people from your school that do go into banking, or like if so, like how many people roughly per year? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, no, it is very non-target, and the alumni network at banks, it was really low. I think I exhausted LinkedIn and everything, and there was pretty much only like one alumni that was working in banking. So and he was very hard to respond to my questions. So it was very challenging.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay. So you only found one person on LinkedIn who's working in banking from your school. So essentially, I guess that would make you the second person ever, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there have been more that they were going to the summer analyst. There were like two that were gotten the summer analyst offers, so it was getting more and more. But yeah, definitely like no one full time.
Okay. Yeah, but basically, we can count the alumni base on one hand. Essentially,
Yeah,
is how
exactly.
non-target we're talking. Okay, so obviously the degree of difficulty is quite high. Then, like, not many people have done this before. Um, what were you doing on your own prior to joining Wall Street Mastermind? Because I think you joined Wall Street Mastermind, what, like halfway through your sophomore year, right? I think it was like January,
Yeah.
right? So was that like right when you decided you wanted to do banking, you joined us right away, or were you already kind of doing stuff on your own before that, and then you came to us a little bit later? Like,
Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, I was kind of, since I was double majoring in computer science and finance, I was going within either I wanted to do software engineering, go all off with hard coding and learning all that stuff, or go into investment banking. And obviously coming out of college, I thought that would be the best option for me. But there was a lot of things. There were a lot of information that I was like, there was so many like anonymous information there that I didn't know about. Like a lot of things that I had to wrap around my head to understand what the process was and everything there. So it was really hard for me. I started talking to one person, the alumni, and then he was like, "You're very late in the game. You can't do anything at this time." So I feel a lot of banks are starting the recruiting now. You don't have that connections that you need. So I advise you to find another career or go into like a very low finance role, and then you can kind of transition back after MBA or something like that.
wow.
And yeah, so it was very hard at first, and I tried, first what I did, I was really trying to kind of find people to connect with, and that was really hard. From the emails that I wrote never really worked, or the connections I found weren't really the strongest connections that I wanted. So that's where I was at that end before I joined Wall Street Mastermind.
Got it. That conversation you had with the alumni where he kind of like discouraged you from going after banking, like, do you remember roughly when that happened? Was that like beginning of sophomore year? Like when he said you're late in the process, like
No,
how late was that?
That was like right before I remember joining Wall Street Mastermind around January. I know
Okay,
it was the Christmas break
got it.
or the one. Yeah.
Okay. So that was like right when a lot of these summer internship applications has just started to open up, right? Because I remember for the summer 2022 recruiting cycle, it was like mid-January when a whole bunch of Bulge Bracket and Lead Boutique and even some middle market banks all launched their applications like the same week. It was like probably that week, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So he was just saying you're late in the process because what, like at the time, did you like not have any relevant experience on your resume, or was that the problem, or?
Yeah. I don't any relevant experience, or didn't really know a lot about any technicals. He asked me like, tell me what investment bankers do, or like a super simple question about accounting, and I was like, didn't answer that at all. So
Okay,
it was a very bad shock to myself too. I was like, wow, I'm really behind. I really need to like, start working on it and
Mhm.
get on it faster if I want to. So
Got it. I was gonna say like I don't know why he had to be so discouraging, but I guess now that I understand a bit more, I guess it wasn't really his fault. It's just like you weren't ready at the
yeah,
time. You had nothing on your resume. All the applications are opening up, and you couldn't answer basic questions. So in his mind, he's probably thinking like, "Yeah, this guy has no chance." Basically.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Um, but you weren't discouraged though. Like basically, I feel like people could respond one of two ways when that happens. Is like they can either say, "Oh, okay, well, this one alumni, the only alumni in my school said that I'm not cut out for this, so I guess I'll just go do something else or lower my standards." Or the other group of people, which is kind of what you did, you decided, no, screw that. I'm gonna go out and figure out how I can get up to speed as quickly as possible and overcome, kind of where I'm currently at. Is that
yeah.
kind
No,
of how you thought
exactly.
about it?
Yeah, no, that actually motivated me a lot. I feel like I'm the type of person that if I hear no, I would like to kind of go pursue it and get it over with. And yeah, I was like, if he says no, I know I can do it. So I'll just try as much as I can and get a
Yeah.
better option for myself.
That's actually a really big thing. I mean, I want to just lightly touch on that for a second. Is like, I think that's one of the biggest things that separate successful people from unsuccessful people. It's like we all run into obstacles in life, like especially when we're trying to like, achieve something, or we have a certain goal that we're trying to accomplish, and like there's always going to be obstacles along the way. But I think the vast majority of the people, like if they try to go from point A to point B and you put a wall in front of them, they just be like, oh, okay, well, I guess I can't go through. I'll just turn around and go back, right? Or they just give up. But then like the small percentage of people who are like, oh, there's a wall in front of me. Well, how do I go around it? Or can I dig a hole and go underneath? Can I climb over it? Like they just won't be stopped, right? Like they won't take no for an answer. Like that's literally a lot of times what it takes if you want to get to the whatever the end destination is, right? Which in this case would be investment banking. And so investment banking recruiting is like not easy at all, right? Like so many people want to do it and so few actually make it in. Like if you just expect it to be like a walk in the park, like it's not going to be that, right? And so I think like that's great mentality they have, and obviously it's probably why you're one of the few people that has ever gotten into banking from your school. Because honestly, think about how many students go to your school and they probably did the exact same thing that you did, which is they went on LinkedIn to see if there are any alumni in banking, and they're like, oh, there's only this one guy. And then like that guy's like not that responsive, right? And like, okay, well, shit, I guess no one can go to banking from this school. So that probably means
Yeah,
I can't get in either. And then they just give up. Right. And that's probably why there's not that many people from your school that get in. And
exactly.
yes, of course, like banks don't recruit from your school. There's no support from your school. There's no one around you that can help you. You guys probably don't have like, all these awesome clubs that a lot of the target schools have. Right. And so, yes, those are all obstacles, but like they can be overcome. Right.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
so okay, so then you came into Wall Street Management. So I was going to ask you like, why did you decide to join Wall Street Management? But I think we already kind of answered that, which is you knew you were behind. You wanted to figure out how to overcome these things in the shortest amount of time possible, and then that's kind of when you found us. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I think the main thing for me was I needed a mentor. I needed someone to kind of show me the way, and I knew that I was going to put in the work, but I needed someone to actually like give me the structure and I needed, and give me the right way to say, okay, this is how you can get into it. This is how you can get a step closer to having an offer. So, and I thought that would be a good investment to have with Wall Street Mastermind, because I've seen the other candidates that got the offers, and I saw what they've done. And through the first call that I had, you guys gave me a good introduction. So I thought it was worth it to try.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, and I mean, to your point, it's like since you knew you were already behind and you still have to get like relevant experience and all these things that just you have to network, all these things just take time, right? Having someone show you the right way, which is how you put it, it just shortens the amount of time that you have to spend doing
Yeah,
all of these things because time is at a premium, basically, right? Like if you had to go and try to figure everything out on your own, not saying you would have never figured it out. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But even if you did, it would have required a lot more trial and error. And who knows, like at that point, what banks are still recruiting, right?
exactly.
So you came into Wall Street Mastermind. Let's talk about like kind of what you did inside of Wall Street Mastermind after you joined. Like, we don't have to talk about like everything in like a lot of detail because God knows we did a lot, right? And we'll be here all day. But if you just kind of like touch on the high level, like what were the things that you felt like made the biggest difference for you? Um,
I feel like definitely, the modules were something that, obviously starting off, not knowing much about banking, going through them really gave me a great, base and fundamental of everything that I needed to go through. First, obviously going through the resume and then putting my experience and then getting a better experience. I landed a good sophomore investment banking experience through that right off the bat, really quick, which gave me a lot of good leverage on my resume, putting it on. And you guys helped me a lot with building that resume up to making it look professional and making it look good with all the different detail that it had. After that, obviously, the most important thing for me, I feel like, was learning how to network properly and learning how to find the right people and writing the right emails and the follow-ups. And I used to, like, go through a very like nice process of finding the contacts and going through a list of emails and then schedule sending them the next morning and then following up after a couple of weeks, and what you guys taught me too, which was super helpful. And I think really helped me kind of find those right connections. And obviously after that, I feel like the best thing about Wall Street Mastermind was the community that was there. And every time you have a question, you just ask, and after like a minute, someone really responds to you with very great detail. And Sam himself really, you're always super responsive, which is really great. And obviously, we coming in banking, I feel like we've had a lot of, we have a lot of stress going through it, and it's really stressful. So having someone to always answer the questions you have and be there with you every step of the way is something very special. And I thought that really helped me kind of cope with my stress and have a better alternative to kind of go from what I wanted to do, or like what I thought I was right, or what is actually right. So
yeah,
so that was the main thing that I really enjoyed about Wall Street Mastermind.
that's awesome, man. I want to like just touch on a couple of things that you said and maybe ask, some follow-ups. But you mentioned like one of the first things you did when you came in was we had to help you land like a sophomore IB internship because you didn't have any relevant experience at the time, and so we had to like help you bulk up your resume. Like, how long did it take? So you joined us in like January. How long did it take for you to find this internship?
I would say I got my internship by November. I had it, and I started November, so it was actually I started middle of December, um, I remember right after winter break, and so I started throughout the whole spring and then went over summer as well.
Got it. So you were doing that like during the school year, basically.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool. I mean, because that's one of the biggest things that people struggle with when they don't have experience is like, how do I get relevant experience when I don't have any relevant experience? Like, how do I make these firms interested in hiring me if I don't have, any relevant experience on my resume in the first place? It's kind of like the chicken and the egg problem, right? So that's
Right.
kind of like really what we're trying to solve there is like, if we have a proven method that can help you get your foot in the door and just get that first internship, then from there on, like you said, you have a lot more leverage, right? Because every other job you apply to after that, or every interview you go into, or every networking conversation, you have something you can point to and talk about, right? So I think that's like, yeah, absolutely, that's like a really important thing. The other thing you touched on is like really learning how to network properly. I mean, look, like people always think like, okay, networking is just reaching out to all the alumni from your school who work in investment banking and then like talking to them and hoping that they'll get you a job. In your case, you didn't have that, right? You already talked to the one guy that was in banking. He told you to go do something else. And so,
Yep.
needless to say, I'm guessing the vast majority of your networking was done with people who weren't from your school. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. No, exactly.
So I just wanted to like dispel that myth. Like for a lot of our listeners, especially if you go to a non-target school, right? Like, don't just limit yourself to only or like thinking that, oh, I can only talk to alumni, or the alumni are the only people that are going to help me. Um, if you have alumni, of course, like always hit them up first, and they are going to be probably more likely to help you because you guys have something in common. But sometimes you don't have that luxury, in which case, like that's not a prerequisite, right? Like a lot of our students are just like Armin, they're non-target schools, they don't have that many alumni, or they don't have any alumni sometimes. Um, and they still make it work, right? You can still get bankers who are willing to help you if you approach networking the right way, right? And there's so many factors that go into what I just said, which is like, what do you mean by approach it the right way? But like, it's all the things you talked about, right? Like when you're reaching out, like what are you saying in the emails? Is it professional and is it concise? And how do you get them to actually read it and respond? And if they don't respond, how do you follow up? And how long do you wait? And how many times should you follow up to not be annoying? And if they actually agree to talk to you, what do you talk to them about? And how do you ultimately get them to like even agree to help you? Like so there's so many things, right? Like I think our networking training is what, like probably over 10 hours long or something. But like these are things that like a lot of these things are things that people don't even think about. Like they don't teach this stuff in school. Like it's not anybody's fault. It's not your fault. Or like when college students don't know how to network, like it's because no one ever taught you guys how to do it. Right. And so once you learn it, like it's not rocket science, right? Like you figured it out. Like, I mean, how many bankers? I don't know if if you know this number, but like how many bankers do you feel like you were able to like develop a genuinely strong connection with, where you're like, yeah, this guy went out of his way to help me, or like this guy, gave me really really good advice, or like he was an advocate. Like, do you have like a rough number in your mind?
Um, yeah, I mean, people that really helped me, I feel like I would say there could be 7 to 10 people.
Yeah. And sometimes like
Um,
and that doesn't sound like a lot, right? But like sometimes that's all you need.
exactly, yeah. And not all those people wanted to, obviously refer me, but they all gave me really great advice and they were willing to help me and support me throughout the way. So I feel like that's why I counted them. But in terms of people that wanted to actually push my resume through, I would say less than five
Yeah.
from 300 bankers that I've spoken to.
Right. And
Yeah.
again, that's because you're look like for you to get your resume pushed through, like the bar is also a lot higher than like, let's say if some Harvard kid came and talked to them, because what they're doing when they push your resume through is they're putting their name on the line. They're like putting their name next to yours and they're vouching for you, right? It's a lot easier to vouch for a kid from Harvard who has a 4.0 and has like a super stacked resume. It's like no one's going to question that. Like HR or your colleague who you're pushing this resume through, they're not going to look at this resume and be like, "Why are you sending me this guy?" Right? But when it's like a total non-target and like not your like prototypical candidate that they're looking for, a lot of times you have to do a lot more like explaining, right? Just like justifying, like, no, Armin's a great candidate because like I know he goes to a total non-target, but like I talked to him and like he's awesome. Like most people just don't want to have to do that, right? And also there's more risk for them because it's like, what if it doesn't work out? Like, what if they get you this interview and you totally choke and you end up not performing well and then it reflects poorly on them, right? And so it's like that's the challenge. Is like, okay, yes, it's almost like you're fighting you're fighting with one hand tied behind your back. You're handicapped, but it just is what it is. Like you don't need that many referrals. Like, okay, you got 5 people that push your resume. Like, how many firms did you end up getting interviews with? Do you remember?
I got 3 interviews.
Yeah. So there you go, right? It's like
Yeah,
you got 3 interviews, and then I think you got what, 2 offers, right?
yeah, 2 offers and 1 super day
I mean,
and
so
3 super days.
yeah, so you got 3 interviews, you moved on to all 3 super days, and you got 2 offers, right? But like that's the funnel. That's the funnel right there. You reached out to 300 people, you got like 10 people that helped you, 5 of those actually referred you, turned into 3 interviews, went to 3 super days, which means you kicked ass in the interviews, and then you got 2 offers,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
right? Like and really like at the end of the day, all you need is one offer. I mean, it's good to have options, obviously, because not all offers are created equal. But like, really, at the end of the day, all you need is one offer, right?
Exactly.
So you don't need like these crazy numbers or whatever. But like that funnel only works if you know how to optimize each step of the funnel. Because look at how steep that drop off was. Like a lot of things are just in the margins. If you do something that's kind of correct but not all the way correct, then your conversion rate could have been even lower. Like the difference between 2 offers and 0 offers is not that wide, right? It could just
Yeah,
be like, oh, you went to the super day and you tripped up on 1 or 2 more questions,
yeah,
or you're in a networking conversation and you asked one stupid question and they're like, nah, this guy's not it, right?
yeah,
Like it's the margin for error is just so small in banking and recruiting. Like that's something that I think a lot of people don't realize, right? But that's awesome. I mean, like obviously it worked out for you. The last thing you kind of talked about was like the community, right? Which I think is a great point. I think a lot of people don't realize from the outside looking in how awesome the community is. And I mean, how could you? Because unless you're a part of it and you've experienced it, you don't really know what it's like. But it's like you said, it's like the community is actually super collaborative and supportive, right? Like
exactly.
I always, it warms my heart, honestly, like to see like a lot of our alumni, still go back and help answer questions all the time. These are like people that are already working in banking and probably pretty busy and they're in Slack answering questions. And I'm like, that's amazing, right? Or like, Jaime, like, I know you guys are buddies. Like he's always answering people's questions and he's doing like freaking cap IQ pools for people. Like
Yeah,
people are like, oh, like, does anyone know what's the deal that Morgan Stanley worked on recently? And then Jaime will like drop a screenshot of the Cap IQ screen that he just
yeah,
ran for them. And I'm like, wow, you didn't have to do that, but like that's literally what people are doing, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Um, but also like on that point, like you and Jaime, like, can you talk about kind of like how you guys know each other or how you guys met?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we met through Wall Street Mastermind, and he was really eager to do these case competitions, and he was always like wanted to learn more, and that's the type of guy he is, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that's I decided to do a case competition with him, him, and 2 other guys from Wall Street Mastermind as well. And then we did that case competition and really liked it, really enjoyed it, and decided to do another case competition with Jaime as well, which was even better. And we got a second place in that case competition, which really allowed us to have a lot of, network with a lot of different bankers that were like, you like there as judges, and gave us a lot of good connections to network with, which was awesome, and learn a lot through that experience, which was really good.
So the reason why I brought that up, or the reason I wanted you to talk about it, is because like that's the other aspect of this community too, which is like you meet other people that you can then like kind of go through the process with together, so you're not doing this alone, and then like doing things like case competitions, like that was really smart of you guys, right? Like not everyone does that, but like case competitions, I feel like is one of those things where it's like you have to put in maybe like what 1 to 2 weeks of effort, right? But it ends up being like a really, really highly relevant experience that I'm sure you talked about probably all the time, right? Like
Yeah,
if you do a good job, you actually win the thing, or in your case, get second place, and you have that on your resume, like a lot of times bankers will ask you about it during networking conversations or during interviews. I know back when I was in college, I did the Goldman Sachs competition at my school, and we won first place. I kind of rode on the coattails of my teammates, to be honest, but like we won first place, and so we had that on our resume, and literally, like I got asked about it in like every single interview. There's like an LBO case, and in a way, it actually made the interviews easier because you knew exactly what they were going to ask you about. It's like so
exactly.
predictable, and if
Yeah,
you just know the case that you worked on, like back and forth, because like you actually did the work, so you know exactly what to talk about. Um,
exactly.
that actually like removes a lot of the uncertainty of like a lot of times with the interviews, people are stressed out. They're like, oh, but like I wonder what the interviewer is going to ask me. And I, like one question people always ask, like, Sam, do you think the interview is going to be more behavioral or more technical? Like,
Yeah,
do you think I need to know this or that? And I'm like, dude, like I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know who your interviewer is. I don't know what they're going to ask you. You have to be prepared for everything, right? That's just, unfortunately just how it is. But when you have something like a case competition that's highly relevant and it's interesting and you won, now the questions become a lot more predictable, right? And it actually like makes, in my opinion, makes the interview easier. And also it's unique. It makes you stand out. And like you said, gave you a ton of networking opportunities with bankers, which for someone like you coming from a non-target school is probably huge, right?
yeah, yeah. And I believe that that was probably the reason that I got my first interview at the bank that I did.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. So there's a tip for you guys. Go out, do case competitions, right? And depending on the school you go to, you might already have competitions at your school that you can just do with your classmates. But I think the ones that you guys are talking about, like the ones you did with other people at Wall Street National, like you guys all go to different schools, right? So these are more like intercollegiate ones that you can sign up for, right? So there
Yeah,
are those as well. If you like, if you go to a non-target school and there's no one else there that wants to do it with you, that's fine. Find someone else from other schools to do one of the intercollegiate ones with you, and you can still get the same results, right? Um, so that's all good stuff. I guess let's like wrap things up because I know we're kind of like going on for a while now. But um, in the end, you got two offers. We said right.
yep.
Um, can we tell people like what type of offers they were? Like what type of banks did you get into?
Yeah, so I got two super days from two bulge brackets, and then got one offer at a bulge bracket and another offer at a top middle market firm.
Okay, got it. And obviously, in the end, you chose the bulge bracket offer over
I
the
chose,
middle one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's awesome. And how is that outcome relative to your expectation coming into the program? Because like based on where you were at the time coming in, I don't know what kind of expectations you had, but like what was that pretty much what you expected, or was there a difference?
No, no, I didn't expect that at all. I mean, going through it, it was very stressful, very challenging for me. And like as time went by, I just, I felt like I'm getting more prepared and more prepared. And I was really to a point that I was very prepared on my technicals that I thought that, um, I wasn't really stressed when I was going to the interviews about them asking me technical questions. And I just was, well, I was just, more focused on proving myself and showing myself in terms of myself and giving my own personality, because at the end that's what they want to see in the interview of who you are and why are you different than everyone else that is interviewing them. So that's what I focused on, and I knew that the technicals were something that I've been very prepared on to go with. And at the end, that really helped me with the interviews, and I first got that middle market interview, got the offer there, and kind of leveraged that to get the bulge bracket interview and the offer there, which was a way better experience, because I, after having that first offer, I was way more relieved to show myself better in the interview, and had a way better interview in the Bulge bracket.
Got it. Okay. So that's awesome, man. Like, I mean, obviously, I think this is a phenomenal outcome, right? Given your circumstances. So like, guys, for those of you that are listening to this, like, if you are in a similar situation, like maybe you go to a total non-target, you don't really think that this is possible for you, or maybe you've been told by people that it's not possible, but you're not quite ready to give up on yourself yet. Then I would encourage you to just like reach out to our team, talk to us. In fact, like what we're doing now is you don't even have to talk to our team. You can reach out and talk to like one of our alumni who's gone through the program first. So this could just be like an upperclassman who's already secured an offer. We call these virtual coffee chats. Okay. You can talk to them about their recruiting process. It's just like a networking conversation that you would have with any other upperclassman. But you can have a conversation with them, see like how they were able to do what they did, get some recruiting advice. You can ask them about the program if you want, or you don't have to. But like at the end of that, like if you still want to talk to our team, then you can come and talk to our team. But if you don't want to talk to our team, then don't talk to our team, right? But like if you want our help, you talk to our team, we can learn more about your situation, and then we'll see if we can actually help you. Sometimes we can, sometimes we can't, right? But you'd be surprised how often we actually can help you, because like I mean, like look at Armin's profile. Like someone else will tell him like, no, you don't have the right profile, but we felt like no, we can still get you a job, right? And so if that's you and you want to have this virtual coffee chat, feel free to reach out. You can do that by going to www.wallstreetmastermind.com/apply. The street is abbreviated to ST, so it's wallstmastermind.com/apply. And we'll get you on with one of these upperclassmen so you can talk to them and see if it's the right fit for you. All right. So with that said, Armin, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. There's a lot of really valuable insight in here that you shared, I feel like, which will hopefully help a lot of other students who are in your shoes. And also, obviously, huge congrats to you on this
Thank you.
outcome. I think it's a great offer, and I think you're going to have a great experience here. I actually have friends that went through that exact same group, and they ended up going on to have really, really awesome careers. So I'm excited for you. Excited to see what you're able to accomplish going forward. Best of luck on the upcoming school year. I know you're super busy and you have another internship that you're doing and all that, and so that's all good stuff. But
Yep.
if you need anything, hit us up, and you're always part of the family, and we're here to support you, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. And really glad that I came on. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, that'll be it for today, and we'll be back with more of these for you guys in the near future. All right, thanks for tuning in. We'll talk soon. Bye.